Hi there and welcome to this week's vlog. And I want to begin by telling you a little story that I heard on the radio only this morning about a gentleman who felt a real burden for people in his community who were struggling financially and in other ways. And he prayed earnestly to God, God, would you just sort out this issue, Lord. Just bless them with what they need, the resources, the financial resources they need, or whatever, the help they need. And he kept on praying. And then one day he saw a couple of members of a family who lived near to him. And he saw that they were really struggling. They looked as though they were tired and worn out. And when they came back from the shops, their shopping bags were not full in any way. It seems as though they couldn't afford very much, and he saw that the children of the family, or indeed all the family, their clothes were getting more and more worn out. And so he prayed, God, would you really sort out that situation? But he felt, maybe he should do something. But then he thought, well, I haven't got much myself. So in a way, the weeks went on and nothing seemed to change, and he said to God, God, why didn't you sort out that problem for that particular family that I saw then? Why didn't you answer my prayer? And God said to him, I did answer your prayer. I called you to go and help them. And then the man realised that he could have been, in that sense, the answer to his own prayer. Jesus said it's more blessed to give than to receive, and we're called to, when we can, help those in need, whatever that need may be. But I want to just reflect this today, not so much on the giving, but on receiving. I was chatting with a friend recently and offered to help in a particular way, and my friend said to me, but I'm really not very good at receiving offers of help. And I've come across lots of people like that, and maybe we're all like that to some extent. I know a lady at church she's a lovely lady, elderly, and she does a lot of walking about. She walks to church, walks to different things, and sometimes she really needs a lift, but she's very reluctant to ask. I don't want to be a burden on anyone. She thinks that's going through her mind. But sometimes we need to be gracious to receive. I remember many years ago when Sue and I were fairly recently married. I think we had 1 or 2 children then. So we must have been married a few years, but it was early on in our marriage life together, family life. And we moved to a new house, and this house was in needs of kind of a lot of decoration, and friends from church came and helped. And Sue talks about one particular occasion when I think we might have just had our first child, and she was pretty worn out, and a friend came along and offered to put, the washing was being done, but she offered to, I think, maybe iron it and then put it away. And Sue said, I felt quite embarrassed that he was my friend putting away my underclothes and stuff like that, and she didn't really want to say, no, I'll do it. But a friend said to her, why would you prevent me from having the joy and the blessing of being able to help you? And we all know that when we're young, the thought of receiving gifts is uppermost on our mind. But as we get older, it's actually kind of changes. So we find more joy, that's my experience, in giving gifts, especially gifts that bring pleasure to others. So we need to learn to be gracious in receiving. When help is offered, accept it willingly and gratefully. Sometimes we don't want to do that because we think it may show a sign of weakness, or we find it humbling. But we need to be humble sometimes. We need to say, yes, thank you so much for your offer of help. And we have the example of Jesus, don't we? Jesus, who in some ways didn't need anything, but he was willing and loved to receive help. Think of when he was at a meal and a woman came in and anointed his head with precious incense. Costly. It was a costly gift, and those around touched it. You shouldn't allow that woman to do that to you, but Jesus said she's done something very, very special. What she's done will be remembered. Jesus was willing to accept that from this woman. And then at a well, he sat down and asked a Samaritan woman for some water. He was thirsty. He needed help from this woman. In the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus, shortly before he would be arrested and taken to crucifixion, he asked for his 3 friends, stay with me and pray, keep watch. He was showing his human vulnerability, his need for help. He was grateful, even though actually they fell asleep on the job. So next time someone offers a helping hand to you, don't refuse it. Say, yeah, I'm so grateful, thank you. We need to have the grace to receive. It is more blessed to give than to receive in some ways, but sometimes we can bless others by receiving their help, receiving from them. We can be gracious in saying, yes, thank you. I really appreciate that. So let's think about that. Are we gracious in receiving and welcoming offers of help from others? Well, that's today's thought. So anyway, thank you so much for listening, and God bless you. Have a great week.